Hey everybody, welcome in to another edition of Rapid Recap. I'm Zack Carpenter, he's Steve Marik, he's Greg Smith, coming to you from the Hawks Championship Center, where Matt Rhule was introduced by Trev Alberts as the next head coach of Nebraska football. And well, Trev Alberts, in his September 11th press conference, when detailing why he fired Scott Frost and what he was looking for in his next head coach, he gave all of the characteristics of what he wanted, and a lot of that was what he reiterated today in today's press conference. He reiterated that pretty much Matt Rhule was everything he was looking for.
Yeah, he was candidate 1A is what Trev Alberts was saying. And look, Matt Rhule does fit everything that Trev Alberts kind of outlined in that September 11th press conference, and he reiterated all of that today. The thing that really jumped out to me that I think Trev mentioned either first or second in that was having someone that was process-oriented and details-oriented. Like, I think that we all can agree, just from the snippet that we've gotten from Matt Rhule and kind of researching him before that, those are the first couple of things that come to mind when you think about him as a coach and as a person. And I think that's something that Nebraska football will greatly benefit from.
And what I found interesting, getting on kind of the football side of things, I asked Coach Rhule what he had coached on both sides of the ball going up previously, offense, defense. I asked him which side is his passion on, and correctly he said both sides he didn't really have. But I got
correctly.
Correctly. He did the good coach speak and everything. But I think I sensed a little bit of defense oriented, and that's where he started his career as a D-line coach. And I don't know. I just think he talked about things like owning the line of scrimmage, because that's when you win in the elements. I think that's really a cool thing to notice, especially when you're playing Big Ten teams in November. And then also, like you said, Greg, process-oriented defenses, details matter. He wants to be an old-school offense, and I think
stood out to me.
And I think I heard a little bit of not of a fancy spread. I think I heard that too.
Okay.
It's just kind of, I think it was a little bit of red meat for hungry fans to chew on here in Nebraska. But I think he truly believes it too. If you look back at his teams at Temple and Baylor, they were kind of driven by the line of scrimmage up front, both offensively and defensively. So he has yet to kind of look at his roster and talk with guys and see who's coming and who's going, and he needs to watch a lot of film, he said. So all of that will come later, but I think right now on the surface, Nebraska has a really good head coach.
Oh, a couple things is, one, Trev on September 11th said we're not looking for a coach that's going to win the press conference, and he did not accomplish that.
No.
Because Rhule, as we expected, he's a very good orator. We knew going in that Matt Rhule's probably going to win over a lot of people in this press conference, which he did. He spoke eloquently with a lot of passion, as he's wont to do. But another thing, just to get the details hashed out, the contract for Matt Rhule makes him the 6th highest paid coach in the country, 2nd highest paid in the Big Ten. 8 years, $74 million, so that averages out to $9.25 million per year. That Trev Alberts said is 90% guaranteed, deferred comp every 2 years, and assistant coach salary pool at $7 million, which is up from about $5.8 million that it was coming into the 2022 season. So he should be able to fill out a staff that can help them compete in the Big Ten. And then another note I wanted to talk about is just the fact that when asked if he's talked with the players, how that meeting went, the coaches, he said he did meet briefly with the players and had a message for them. But what did you take away from Matt Rhule talking about all of that?
Yeah, I think enthusiasm. I think that, we talk about winning the press conference, and it's so ironic now that he did that in such big fashion. Is that part of the reason for that, and part of the reason why kind of the early vibe that I've gotten from recruits and some players that I've talked to kind of privately is that the enthusiasm that Matt Rhule has for football and just turning Nebraska around, and he referenced it several times today, he would not have taken this job if he didn't feel passionately about it, and that he thought that he could win here and win big. And so I think that shows and comes through, and he was very excited to get to work. Like, you could tell that he was not joking when he said he's excited to rip the suit off and actually go to work. I believe he'll be somewhere watching film in about an hour.
Yeah, absolutely. And he also talked about practicing tough. He wants a physical football team, and to do that, you need to be physical at practice too. Mm-hmm. That should be music to Husker fans' ears after what everybody kind of went through.
Being physical is not a punishment.
No, it's not. So I just think, he talked about building leaders and building and developing players, and it starts in the weight room and on the recruiting trail and getting the right guys in here. And I just think it sounds like he has a really good blueprint to go about this whole thing.
What I am interested in is when the Big Ten eventually brings in teams like USC, UCLA, they get rid of those divisions, is that old school approach, is that toughness approach going to last long term in the Big Ten? So that's another discussion point, I think, for another day, because we could dive into that.
You talked for a long time.
We could talk longer than Matt Rhule in his opening statement about that one. Just again, back to, he was talking about meeting with the players and the coaches, and then we're talking about recruiting. The transfer portal hits December 5th, or opens December 5th, and the recruiting live period starts December 2nd. It's going to be pretty hellacious first few weeks for Rhule as soon as he starts, which he's starting as we're recording this video.
Right.
I'm sure. He talked about having pretty much an open door policy where he wants to give the opportunity for current players to meet with him, any player to come into his office and meet with him. What do you guys think over these next few days, couple weeks? What do you think are the main priorities as he starts the job?
I think, well, first and foremost, finalizing that staff, right? I think that we've gone this long into the video without mentioning Mickey Joseph, Bill Bush, Brian Applewhite, maybe a couple others that could potentially stay on staff. We're still kind of waiting to see kind of where we are with Matt Rhule meeting them. He said that those talks would happen in the next couple of days, and he hoped to kind of move quickly with that. So that's job one. And job two really is to meet with those players, right? I think that we talked about in a previous video about top priorities. One of them is gaining the trust of the players that are already on this team. He referenced it, and I think very smartly, that he told the team that I didn't recruit anyone in this room, right? None of you guys signed up to play for me, but I'm excited to coach for you. That's a great start. And he talked about not being a guy that runs everybody off. Going to raise the standard, but he's not going to purposely run people off. I think that's super important. And
the quarterback situation, Matt Rhule said during his opening press conference that that's the most important position on the field. It's what runs everything on offense, and obviously Nebraska has a quarterback situation question right now with Casey Thompson. Is he coming? Is he going? What's the injury situation? Does he want to come back? So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things, and I agree with Greg. Getting the staff down, the strength and conditioning coach, the offensive line coach, the defensive line coach. There's a lot of things to be worked out right now, but also the quarterback situation and maybe trying the portal, seeing what Casey Thompson wants to do with his future. There's just a lot going on right now.
Just wanted to tee you off for any one last thought or anything that stuck out to you that you wanted to talk about?
Boy, we hit on a lot. I do think, again, I would like to mention his energy. I know that it's going to be infectious. You can see why it is that players that you hear that played for him at Temple and Baylor specifically, seem like they'll run through a wall for him. We've already reported on assistants that are on the way that have been with him before that seem to really want to stick by him, and I think that you can easily see why that's the case just from this press conference today.
I knew he was going to win the press conference, and he did, but I mean, it just listening to him talk, it seems like he genuinely cares about the football team, the players, the staff members, everybody. That might be a shift from what we previously went through, but yeah, I just think that there was a lot of care factor is pretty high with Matt Rhule, so I'm glad that we sense that, or at least I did.
He thanked the person that picked the photo of him. Yeah. I think you just don't see that all the time.
That was a funny moment.
It was a great moment.
That was a nice little moment to win over some laughs at the beginning of the press conference. Like Greg said, we have reports up at nebraska.rivals.com. A little shameless plug there for reports on recruiting and team news, coaching hires, portal news, pretty much everything under the sun that we could talk about with Matt Rhule and everything surrounding the Nebraska football program. So that's, again, nebraska.rivals.com, running a Cyber Day sale through the rest of today, a Cyber Monday sale through the rest of today, $22 for a year of Rivals. That's a $100 value. And then you can keep it locked in here for free to the Inside Nebraska YouTube channel for Steve Marik and Greg Smith. I'm Zack Carpenter, and we'll catch you guys again next time.